So normally people say, maybe you've heard kefir, kefir. I don't know, there's lots of different ways to say the word. However, the correct pronunciation, when you look it up, it says kefir. I love kefir. I love kefir for a number of reasons. And when I started drinking kefir, I just bought the Lifeway stuff that was in the supermarket. Now that's a great way to get started, and there's nothing wrong with it except that it doesn't have as many probiotics as the homemade. Homemade kefir has somewhere between 20 to 100 different strains of good, beneficial bacteria and yeasts that can help heal your biome. Now, the biome is something that's really come up in science lately. People are starting to recognize that there is a definite correlation between what's going on in our gut and what's going on with the rest of our body. All kinds of conditions are now said to be able to be treated or at least helped by curing the gut and restoring the biome. Things like Crohn's disease and maybe some other gut-related types of issues, but also things like inflammation, those conditions that are caused by inflammation. And sometimes some people even say that it can help with cancer. Now, do I believe all these things? I'm not here to tell you what I believe, what I don't believe. All I know is I started looking into kefir because I have a son with type 1 diabetes, and it has helped him lower his blood sugars. And so who am I to question what some people say could be the next great superfood, which in one respect, it's actually pretty ancient. Kefir's been around for a really long time. But I'm not here to give you a history lesson either, so relax, I'm not gonna do that. But what I am gonna do is I'm gonna show you how I make kefir. It's so simple and so fast and so easy that why wouldn't everybody be doing it? Make sure that everything you use is non-reactive metals. You don't wanna use anything that's going to harm your grains. And something about reactive metals, nickel, brass, things like that, you just don't want to use. Stainless steel seems to be the only one that you can use, and a lot of things are made with stainless steel, but if you have some cheap metal strainers at home, you don't want to be using them because you could be harming your grains. So look at either nylon or plastic strainer. You want a nice fine mesh like this one. I'm going to put it over my jar, and I'm going to stir up, and then you notice I'm using a chopstick. I like using a chopstick. It's just as easy. Stir it up, and then I can start pouring it over. Now, if you saw that big lump, that was one of the grains. And I can stir this up just a little bit, give you a better view of those grains. Milk kefir grains like to reproduce as long as they have a healthy environment in which to eat, and they like to eat lactose and sugar. So you should be good with a nice, healthy, full-fat milk. When you use the lesser fat milks like skim milk, you're not going to get as nice and rich and thick a kefir. In the bottom. To do a fermentation of kefir only takes 24 hours. That means as long as they are up in your cabinet and your cabinet doesn't get too cold or too hot, you've got a 24-hour wait. If you're talking about something like a warmer climate, then you're going to be talking about a much shorter time for the cultures to work. So you might want to check on those grains maybe at 18 hours or even 12 hours to see what's going on in them. You can tell when they're kind of done. They have a smell to them, and I love opening up and smelling the kefir when I am ready to do this because it has a sweet smell, like bread dough or just like a sweet milk drink maybe, something like that. Very nice, not sour at all. I'm not sure about other kefirs, but for me, it's always been a very sweet smell to it. Now, recently, I had my dog have an issue, and kefir is very good for pets too. And so she was experiencing terrible diarrhea, and I hadn't been giving her any kefir, maybe once in a while, but not on a consistent basis. and certainly not in the last few weeks I hadn't. And so I took her to the vet just yesterday, and I had started giving her Kefir to help her with her diarrhea and vomiting and things like that. And she had stopped doing all of that day. There hadn't been any more issues. And the vet did not know anything about Kefir. And so I had to kind of talk to her a little bit about it and see if I could give the dog Kefir instead of antibiotics, because as you know, antibiotics kind of kill everything in your gut. And we don't want to do that. Killing everything in your gut could be really bad. What we want is the good probiotics to take over the bad bacteria. I'm going to put a breathable cover on top. Now, I can use anything for that. I can use a lid that I don't screw down very tight, or I can just use a coffee filter like I'm doing. I can even use a paper towel so long as it's clean. And I'm going to let this remember, is our first fermentation of 24 hours. I'm going to take this, I'm going to put it up in my cupboard for another 24 hours. Why? Because I really want those good probiotics. I really want the opportunity for this to become everything that it's promised. And it doesn't hurt the taste either. If I wanted to make it into cheese or whey soda, which was my last video, so if you're interested in that, please go and see my other link that I probably have up at the top, that you can enjoy probiotic soda. Now, what do I do with my grains? I'm going to put them back in my jar. Just set the lid right on top. Don't do anything else to it. Let it be. And put it right back in your cupboard. When you need to store your Kefir, it's always a good idea to keep it in the refrigerator once it's done with that second fermentation. I usually only let it go just a couple of times, where I will fill the jar up like maybe 2-3 times, and then it's time to wash the jar. I really don't want to leave it unwashed for too much. And there it is. Usually give it a good shake. There you go. So you're probably wondering, what does it taste like? Like after you're finished making this stuff, does it taste like yogurt? Does it taste good? Does it taste, ugh? What does it taste like? Okay, so it smells good. The taste of milk Kefir, I've actually never tried it just plain, but I've made sour cream out of it. I've made soda out of it. I've made, but if I have to taste it plain, I have drank it, you know, out of a smoothie before, but I usually sweeten it. And you can use pretty much anything to sweeten Kefir, aside from things that have antibiotic properties, like honey. Honey will kill some of your probiotics. It's not a good idea. Now, some people say, well, you don't add so much honey that it will kill everything. No, probably true. But, you know, better safe than sorry. So I just don't add honey. I add stevia or sugar or things like that. Okay, I'm going to taste it. I'll cringe if it's terrible, but I don't think it will be. The consistency is very thick. You could definitely coat a spoon. It's not the same as yogurt. Yogurt to me has always been so tangy that I go like that. It's not like that. It is a little tangy, but it's not too bad. As always with every episode of the Jukebox Kitchen, all the music that you're listening to underneath the video is something that I wrote. If you would like to purchase the song in its entirety, please go and support me by going to Google Play and buying the song. Thanks so much again for watching. I hope that you start using Kefir every day in your life. And if you need to know where to get the grains, I'm going to have a link in the description, as well as to scientific studies that are being conducted in the past or right now that will help you understand what's going on. And I'm going to try to find a full list of all of the microorganisms that are potentially in homemade kefir. It's been so much fun getting this channel off the ground, and I really appreciate all of you who have spent time watching. Thanks so much.
The scent of cherry blossoms in the air, dancing lights and shadows.
Woo! Things are falling. It's exciting here. Oh good, we're still recording. I wasn't sure.
Whoa.